Hello there. Welcome to another live stream. So my name's Lara Ryan. I've been an IELTS examiner for writing and speaking. I've been teaching IELTS since 2010, and I'm the founder of Complete Test Success. And today in our live stream, we're focusing on general training IELTS writing task 1. So only a small percentage of people do the general training test. So for most of you, this lesson isn't relevant. For those of you doing general training, obviously, I'm going to be able to help you with task 1 of the writing test. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to show you a question. We're going to write the essay, we're going to write the letter together. And basically, I'm going to get you to write the different parts of the essay. While you're writing that, you're sharing it with me in the comments, and I'll be giving you feedback. So if you're doing anything wrong, I'll be able to point out those mistakes to you so that you can learn from them and improve your scores. I will also be selecting some of your writing and adding it to the screen and building the letter from your work. Okay, so to begin with, let's just have a look at the question. So here's the question we're looking at today. It says, you recently stayed in a hotel and had a very disappointing experience. Write a letter to the hotel manager. In your letter, explain why you chose that hotel. Describe the problems you faced during your stay and say what you want the manager to do. The instructions are always the same. So what it says up here, what it says down here is always the same, and then the instructions here would be a little bit different. Sometimes it'll say dear sir or madam, sometimes it will just say dear and then ... comma. But the instructions are generally the same, so we don't need to worry too much about what they say. Okay, so that is our focus for today. Daxstar Envy, hello sir, thanks for doing this, my pleasure. Grateful for this. You're very welcome. No problem at all. Okay, so the first part of our letter has to be the greeting. So that's all I want you to do to begin with. Write the greeting for the letter, share it with me in the comments, and then I'll let you know if you're doing anything wrong. I don't want to just tell you what to do outright, because if you're making mistakes, you will learn more from those. If I tell you what to do, you'll think, okay, that's fine, it makes sense, I get it. But if you try to do it, you make a mistake, and then I point out that mistake, you're going to learn a lot more from that than just looking at me writing an essay or writing a letter by myself. Okay, so this is taking you guys a little bit of time. It's pretty straightforward. In fact, the question actually tells us what to write. So let me just have a look at that for you. Here at the bottom of the question, it says, begin the letter as follows. Dear sir or madam. So that's what I mean by the greeting. So the greeting is saying, dear sir or madam, as the question has instructed. So I can begin with that. Dear sir or madam. Some people like to change it. They like to do something a little bit different, but I don't see the reason why. If the question has told you clearly what to say, then why not just do exactly what it asked you to do? Okay, so what we're going to do then, we have 3 prompts. The first prompt is explain why you chose that hotel. The second prompt, describe the problems you faced during your stay. And the third prompt, say what you want the manager to do. So we're going to write 3 body paragraphs, 1 body paragraph for each prompt. So let's start with the first one. Explain why you chose that hotel. Now, what a lot of students will do is they'll kind of talk more generally first, and then they'll respond to that prompt later. But what I encourage you to do is to address the prompt in the very first sentence. So instead of talking more generally about something else and then coming back and responding to the prompt in the second or third sentence, I want to respond directly to that prompt in the very first sentence. So that's my task for you guys here. Write the first sentence of paragraph 1 with a direct response to why you chose that hotel. So when you're ready, share that with me in the comments, and I'll give you feedback if you're making any mistakes or explain how to improve on what you've written. Okay, so I'm not sure if I have general training students in attendance. So let's just wait another, let's say, 30 seconds. If I get a response, we'll look at that. If I get some responses, we'll look at those. And if not, I'll just push ahead and give you my own examples. Okay, so I'm not sure, maybe we don't have any general training students. That's absolutely no problem. So like I said, we're going to have a direct response to the prompt. Now, one thing I would say as well, so we want to explain why we chose that hotel, but one thing I would say is make sure that you don't cover any of the information that we need in the second and third paragraphs. So in the second paragraph, I need to describe the problem I faced during my stay. So I'm not going to mention anything about that. Say what you want the manager to do. Again, I'm not going to say anything about that. So I'm just going to explain why you stay. Okay, so we'll say something like this. I recently stayed at your hotel due to the impressive reviews that I saw on TripAdvisor. Okay, so there's a direct respond to the prompt. So why did I choose to stay at the hotel? Because, TripAdvisor is one word. Why did I choose to stay at the hotel? Because of the good reviews I saw. Now, I need to write about 60 words in this paragraph. So the rest of my paragraph is going to be just developing on this point in more detail. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Continue writing until we reach approximately 60 words. Can you please do one for writing task 2? Yeah, absolutely. So I just cycle through the different parts of the test. So yeah, in the upcoming live streams, we will be covering other parts for sure. Hey, Samuel, good to see you here. Okay, so how would you develop paragraph 1? I think it seems like I don't have many people or any people participating. So let me just jump in and say, how would I develop this? Many reviews described the cleanliness of your rooms and how friendly the staff is. And these are two of the most important considerations for me when choosing a hotel. So I felt like I was making a well-informed decision when making my booking. Okay, I have a little spelling mistake there. Okay, so how many words is that? That is 59 words. So yeah, that's perfect. That's all we need. About 60 words where I describe why I chose the hotel. And keep in mind that I'm writing to the hotel manager. So it is a formal letter. So you'll see that I'm avoiding any informal language, trying to use formal grammar structures and formal language. One thing that I find myself doing a lot is I use contractions without even noticing. So what I always need to do, for me, it's one of my most common mistakes. So I need to look back through my writing and make sure that I haven't actually included any contractions. That's one of the mistakes I find myself making quite a lot. Okay, so that's the first prompt finished. Now we need to move on to describe the problem that we faced during the stay. Let me make that text a little bit bigger, make it a bit easier for you guys to see it. Okay, so describe the problem you faced during your stay. So that has to be the topic of our second body paragraph. Dark Star, you say you're participating? Yep, great. So what I'll do is let me give you this. Write the first sentence of paragraph 2. So I'll give you a minute to write the first sentence of paragraph 2. Again, I want a direct response to the prompt. The prompt says, describe the problems you faced during your stay. I don't want the first sentence to say, I experienced a problem during my stay. I want it to say specifically, what was that problem? Oh, excuse me, it says the problems. So it's going to be more than one problem. So describe the problems you faced during your stay. I want to have the problems directly stated in the first sentence. And like the question says, problems. So if we just mention one problem, that won't be enough. Okay. So I'll give you a minute to put that together, share it with me in the comments, and then we'll work with your writing in the next part of the letter. Okay, so Dark Star says, I got no response. Okay, so that's a little bit informal. I got no response, as opposed to I didn't get any response. Also, your punctuation. So we need a capital letter. So I did not get any response from the hotel staff. Staff is uncountable, so no S. About the complaints, complaints. So you're missing the T. The complaints I made. I would go with that I made because it needs to be formal. And instead of a full stop, then we need a comma, and I, capital I, and I didn't get the food I ordered again. So lots of punctuation mistakes, got some spelling mistakes. But the main thing then is you're saying I didn't get any response about the complaints that I made. So what complaints did you make? That's a bit vague. So why are you making complaints? And are there several complaints? And is that several problems? So I prefer you to just choose the specific complaint that you want to talk about, rather than saying you made a few complaints, but without saying what the specific complaints were about. And I didn't get the food I ordered. Perfect. So that's a main idea right there in itself. So can I write these as problems? I would say the second one is fine. The first one would be a bit vague. And when we say describe the problems you faced, well, I think to make my life as easy as possible, I'm just going to say that the place wasn't clean, and then I'll describe several things that weren't clean. So I'd say, unfortunately, when I got to my room, I found that it wasn't. So what did I say earlier on? I said that the cleanliness of the room, that it wasn't cleaned to the standard that I would expect from a hotel of your that I would expect. I think let's just leave it at that. Okay, so the question said problems, so we need to talk about problems. So here I've just said that the room wasn't cleaned to the standard, but maybe hadn't been cleaned, because it would be before I got there. So past perfect is appropriate. I found that it hadn't been cleaned to the standard that I would expect. Now I'm going to make sure that I have more than one problem in that it wasn't clean in more than one way. So I could say something like, firstly, it seemed like the bed sheets hadn't been changed since the previous guest. And the bin in the bathroom hadn't been emptied. So, as you can imagine, I was not pleased with this situation. Okay. Now again, I'm just going to check the word count. It looks okay. It looks like it's about the right length. 55 words. It's a little bit too short, but I think we've done enough here in response to that prompt. Okay. So that brings us to the final prompt. Say what you want the manager to do. Okay. So I'm going to hand that back over to you guys again. Just write the first sentence of body paragraph 3 for me. And again, I'll give you some feedback on what you've written. So Dark Star, what I'll do is I'll let you respond. So I'll give you a minute. Say what you want the manager to do. This time we only need to say one thing. I think it's generally easier just to have one thing that you're going to discuss in the body paragraphs. The second prompt said describe the problems. So we had no choice but to mention more than one. But in general, I like to just talk about one thing because it's more focused, and it's easier to make sure that we're fully developing our idea when we're only talking about one thing. Okay, so Dark Star, I'll let you write the first sentence for paragraph 3. And then I'll have more feedback for you there. Okay, so just another 30 seconds there to share your sentence. Okay, so Dark Star, I'm not sure if you have anything there, so I'm going to jump in. So say what you want the manager to do. So in a situation, if I've already stayed in a hotel, and I'm not there anymore, well, what would I want a manager to do afterwards? I mean, if I don't like the hotel, I don't want to stay there again. And if I'm not in the room right now, because it says you recently stayed in a hotel, so I'm not there now. So, I can't ask the manager to come and, get the bed sheets changed for me. It doesn't really matter at that point. So we have to think, like, in a situation like this, what exactly would you want a manager to do? I don't know. Would you ask for a refund or ask for a partial refund, something like that? I can't really think of anything else at the moment, so I think I'm just going to go with that. In general, we don't want to overthink things. We only have 20 minutes to write the essay, so you kind of need to get on with things as well. Okay. Let's say, in compensation for this negative experience that I had during my stay, I would like you to issue a partial refund on what do we call the money you pay in a hotel? The fee of the fee I paid during the fee that I paid. That's fine. Okay, so now obviously I need to develop that. Further. So I think I would say something like I paid the full amount when booking my room on your website, so you can issue the refund to the credit card that I used for the transaction. There we go. I think that's pretty to the point and probably long enough. Let's see. Word count 55 words. So ever so short. I think maybe an extra 5 or 10 words to each paragraph would be better. But what we can see is we've responded directly to the prompt and we've developed the paragraph to the point where it is, they're all about 60 words long. So we'd easily get a band 8, if not a band 9 for task achievement there. In terms of the coherence and cohesion, you can see that we've got enough use of cohesive devices, but not overuse. We're not starting every sentence with a cohesive device. There's clear connection between each sentence. There's clear paragraphing. So we are using cohesive devices effectively. We're using referencing effectively. It referring to the room. So that type of thing, it all counts towards your coherence and cohesion score as well. In terms of the vocabulary, you don't need to use any crazy words that people wouldn't normally use, just normal everyday vocab that you need to talk about hotels and booking hotels and this type of thing. You can see there are specific words like impressive reviews, the cleanliness of the rooms, important considerations, well-informed decision. So all of these, making a booking, to know that the verb making goes with booking, like they're not ridiculously complicated words, but they are words specific to the topic that we're discussing, and they're being used correctly. So that's how you end up with a band 9 for vocab. And then with the grammar, there's just a nice range of grammar structures. There are complex structures in there. They're not being used repetitively. There aren't any mistakes. So everything we need for a high score. We just have one last thing to do. We need to sign off. This is a formal letter. So for a formal letter, we sign off with something like this. Kind regards. Or maybe yours sincerely. Might be more appropriate since we're asking for a refund and we're not that happy. Lar Ryan. So we want our first name and our surname, not just the first name. So if it was an informal letter, it would be best wishes, Lar. But in this situation, it's yours sincerely. That's formal. Lar Ryan, first name and surname. And that there is the full letter written. And that would get a band 9 or a band 8.5. And that's pretty much all we need to do. I think the most complicated part for most students in task 1, for general training task 1, is maintaining the tone. So if it's a formal letter, always having formal language, or if it's an informal letter, always having informal language. And that conflict can result in a lower task achievement score. So that's kind of the trickier part, is if you're not really sure about what language is formal and what language is informal, you can end up getting a lower score for those types of problems. Okay, so that's pretty much all we're going to do today. Next week's live stream will most likely be at the same time. We'll see how much time I have. I could be posting a task 2 question on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. I'll get you guys to write an essay for me in response to a task 2 question. And then next week's live stream will be given, I'll choose one essay and give a complete essay correction to that person. So keep an eye out. I will be posting a question later this week, and I'll get you guys to respond with a full essay, and then just choose one at random, and we'll do that. Okay, so that's it for now. If any of you guys want one-on-one support, you can reach out here, lar@completetestsuccess.com, or you'll find the link for my courses in the video description as well. So that's it for today. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for participating. Bye.